What's going on, guys? Max and Melaned here, bringing you another little video. Before the actual video starts about talking about my board progression and the different boards that I've actually used, I just wanted to quickly come on and kind of, I don't know about apologize, but just like kind of say sorry that there's no actual writing in this week's video. I don't want to like get too personal, just a lot's been going on lately. I had the flu for a week, like very, very sick. Then unfortunately, I had a close family member pass away, and I went down for the funeral proceedings and stuff like that down in Texas for a week. So things have just been all over the place. I am back in New York now. I have been skateboarding still, just like been getting more in the groove of things, been, doing some stuff with my skateboard club since I've been back and trying to just, hang out with the crew. So I haven't had a lot of like solo skating to film actually, but we are going to get back in that routine starting next week. But just for this week, I still wanted to give you guys some content. Still wanted to, connect with you guys. So that's, when I said, let's just do a little talking video going over all of my setups. It's raining today anyways, so I hope you guys enjoy my thought process in the boards that I have chosen to skate since I started skating. And now I'm gonna go over into the other room where my boards are and kind of do a little deep dive on that. So, I thank you guys so much for your support, and I appreciate everybody who tunes into my videos. So let's do this thing. All right, guys, so without further ado, here are all the different setups that I have written since I started my skateboarding career, or whatever you want to call it, hobby, about a year and a half ago or so. There is one board missing, and for people who already are subscribed and watch my videos, you'll probably already guess the Baker board isn't here. The only reason I don't have the Baker board with me is because over the holidays, I brought that with me to Texas when I was seeing my family for Christmas. And during that stay in Texas, I decided that I wanted to size up and go to something a little bigger. So that's when I got this orange Anti-Hero Eagle popsicle, the 9-inch. We'll get to that toward the end of the video about why I like this board. But anyways, traveling back on the airplane, I didn't have enough room just to bring the Baker deck and this board. So I just went with the one that I was actually riding. So that Baker deck is currently in Texas right now. But I want to get it back here maybe one day when maybe I'll ride it again. Who knows? That's what this video is about, though. What I like writing, what I don't like writing, and yeah, all that good stuff. Because I know skateboarding is so subjective on what people like, the shapes, the sizes, length, width, wheelbase. There's so much, and we could like talk about this for hours. And I like talking about this stuff, but I don't want to like deep dive too crazy and have a crazy long video today. So let's just start with the beginning. I guess a lot of you guys know that I was a downhill longboarder for several years before I actually picked up skateboarding. So I have longboards in there, but I don't have enough room in here. But you guys know what a longboard is. Significantly bigger than a skateboard. We're talking about like anywhere from like 36 inches long to like 42 inches long. And we're talking about like 10-inch wide boards, wheelbase from like, I don't know, anywhere from 20 inches all the way up to almost 30 inches on some longboards. So way bigger than your standard like 825 popsicle. So riding those boards for years, learning how to actually control a board on something so big, going really fast on those for many years, that's just what I got comfortable with. And when I did make the transition into skateboarding, the first thing that I went with was this board here. And this is a shop deck from Uncle Funky's longboard and skateboard shop in Manhattan, over kind of in the Chelsea area. I used to live in the city for a few years, so this was kind of one of the local places back then. And I used to go there because they sold longboards too. So shout out to Uncle Funky's and shout out to their owner, Jeff. He's a very nice guy. But this is what I went with because I kind of was looking up like average normal skateboard size, and everything coming up like in modern times was like an 825 popsicle. So this is an 825 shop deck. I don't know the length on it. I'm guessing probably like 31 and a half, maybe 32. And a 14.25 inch wheelbase. I thought that's what a skateboard is. I didn't really like know much about like different sizes of skateboards and wheelbases for that stuff. I just thought that's what everybody was riding. And you do see a lot of people riding this size. I don't want to say it's the most popular, but if someone asked me like the most popular size skateboard, I would be inclined to say it's an 825. But anyways, so this is what I started learning on. I did my very first like baby ollie on this board. I was not going fast. I felt really uncomfortable riding this board, just coming straight off the longboards. And yeah, it was really hard for me. Of course, you have like on a small board like this, you have quicker pop, stuff like that. But just for like being on the board and having such a shorter stance than what I was used to, everything felt really awkward on this board. Nowadays that I've ridden skateboards more, I could get by on this. I can definitely cruise around on it more and be more comfortable. But something that's good to know, I guess I should have prefaced with this. I am 6'3". I don't weigh a lot. I'm like 160 pounds, but I'm 6'3", size foot 12. So I'm a big dude. And this just felt really small for me, just being a big guy who also used to longboard. And something that I always go back to when I look at board sizes for people is that in a lot of other sports, I don't know, like one example would be golf. Because I know a lot of people who play golf. Depending on how tall you are, you get special like size clubs for however tall you are. And it seems in skateboarding, people don't really pay attention as much to like their height and what type of board they should be riding. I know there is different skateboard styles like transition, street, freestyle, and that's also dependent on the size board that you're riding. So for today's video, I mostly skate street. So like what we're talking about is like flat ground tricks, grinds, stuff like that. But yeah, I still think it was something I saw interesting. It was like people don't really pay attention to their size to ratio of board. And I think it was Professor Schmidt put out a chart that I saw online. I don't know, maybe like a year ago or something, where it kind of showed like height to board size ratios, specifically wheelbase. If you're gonna look at anything, I think wheelbase is like the most important factor for being comfortable on a skateboard. And when I looked at this chart, it said any person that was 6 foot taller and above should most likely be skating like a 15-inch wheelbase. And I don't know, some stuff really clicked in my brain when I saw that, because I had been riding the 14.25-inch wheelbase, which was significantly smaller. And I don't remember all of the height measurements. You could find this chart for yourself. But 14.25 was recommended for people a lot shorter than me, with a lot shorter legs. And just when I saw that chart, something clicked in my head, and I was like, no wonder I feel so awkward. I mean, I was able to start doing ollies on this board, but I just couldn't go fast and do them. I couldn't go off curbs with this thing. Everything felt like really awkward. My legs would buck together. And then something clicked. And at that same time is when I was like kind of like discovering Andy Anderson. And I have a whole video on this Andy deck because it was just such a special deck to me, and I wrote it for over 6 months and really progressed on it a lot. I'll put this one down now, the shop deck. This board like holds a special place in my heart. But around the same time I saw Professor Schmidt's height to wheelbase chart, I was getting into Andy Anderson, saw he had this pro model out. This was the only Andy board out at the time, or maybe the Egg had just come out, his second pro model, I'm not sure. Maybe the Egg was out, but that's irrelevant. But anyways, I saw, Andy has this board that's 9.13 inches wide, and it's almost 33 inches long, and it has a 15-inch wheelbase. And I was like, you know what? I just saw this size chart, so I'm gonna get this Andy deck because I really liked his skating too at the time, and he was like the main pro skater that I was watching. And yeah, as soon as I got on this board, everything just felt so much more comfortable. My legs weren't tapping together anymore. I could actually go fast and go off of curbs. I could actually do moving ollies without feeling like I was just gonna like fall off the front of the board. It just that extra little like 0.75 inches of wheelbase made like such a difference. And ever since then, I've like been a diehard like believer in that chart that Professor Schmidt made. I know that, dude, there's guys that are like 6'5" I see at the skate park on like an 8-inch board, just like doing tray flips and everything like so well, going off big stuff, big ledges. I see it, and that's what they're used to riding. That's what they're used to riding. But at least like for me, a case coming off of the longboards, I just needed something bigger. So I did ride this for 6 months. And if you want to know more about my experience with this board in particular, there's like a 20-minute video on my channel that you could check out. But after this got really bad razor tail, it started to like lose its pop and everything, it was time to get a new board. And I thought about just getting another Andy deck, but like I was starting to do different tricks, 180s, shove-its and stuff. And I don't know, something in me, I wanted to get my ollies bigger. I I wanted to experiment more. So when I went to my local shop now up in Albany, Season Skate Shop, I was looking at whatever they had an 875 option. I didn't want to go like too far down, like nowhere near the 825. And 875 was like the next smallest from a 9-inch board. So that's when I found the Blue Meanie deck, the Anti-Hero Blue Meanie. And this board, 875 across. The back is actually 85, the front's 875 because it's a shape board. It's like 32.5 inches, so a bit shorter than the Andy deck. And it had a 14.75-inch wheelbase, so just a 1/4 inch smaller. And for that, I just wanted to see if I could get bigger pops, see what it would feel like to skate a smaller board. And you know, for the first few weeks, I really enjoyed this board. I noticed that my pop was a bit quicker, but I still felt just right. The 14.75-inch wheelbase felt like maybe that was like the smallest I could go with still feeling like really comfortable and not having my legs hit. But the stance did feel that I felt like this is probably as small of a stance as I could go, is like a 14.75-inch wheelbase. And I did ride this for like 6 weeks. I got a decent amount of wear and tear on it. I skated it every day pretty hard. The one thing I didn't like about it was like I didn't like the shape as much. I didn't like how it was like 875 in the front and 85 in the back. That kind of felt weird for me when I was learning shove-its and getting like my shove-its more down. Just the weight felt off. It did, like the shortness of the board I also wasn't a huge fan of. But I did start getting bigger ollies on this, going over the planks like you see in my old videos. This was only a few months ago. It feels like a long time ago, but it really was only like 3 or 4 months ago when I started riding this board. And I was getting like bigger pop that's when I started going over the planks and going up bigger curbs and stuff. So I do also have like a special place also in my heart for this board. It's funny that I say that because I know in the course of my skating career in the future, I'm going to probably go through like 100 boards, if not more, if I do want to skate as long as possible in my life. But you know, each board has a story to tell, and you learn new things on boards, and you get certain things are harder, and it all depends. Like there's so much to like take into consideration. But off this board, I really was like, I don't know, I got used to the 14.75-inch wheelbase pretty quickly. So to basically make a long story short, I liked the size that was a little smaller, but I didn't like the shape. And then I was like wanting something that was more mellow of a concave as well, because like the kicks on this like weren't like crazy. And I feel like I've told this story a little bit also on the Baker board video that I made, so you could also check that out if you want more details. But basically I went into like a skate shop and saw like an 8.5 Baker board. The concave just looks so nice and mellow, and that's kind of what I had been wanting to experiment with. They didn't have an 8.75. For me, I didn't think an 8.5 was, I thought it was just a bit too small, especially just knowing like that the 8.75 already felt like the very smallest I could go. So I ordered the 8.75 Baker board. You can go watch the videos on that as well. The only thing about that Baker board was it was a bit longer than this, but the wheelbase was 14.5. So it brought another 1/4 down from the 14.75 on the Blue Meanie. And I'm gonna be honest, I thought that I could adjust to a 14.5-inch wheelbase, just how I had adjusted from the 15 to the 14.75, and it was just hard. I brought it to Texas with me over the Christmas break, and I was skating every day there. I was taking it to skate parks, going off like ledges, and there's a lot of content of me riding that board you can see, but I just never felt confident on it. There was like, the more I rode it, the more I realized that like, anytime I'm going up or down something with my ollie, I just feel like I'm not that in control. That for the wheelbase actually felt good for flat ground, I will say, the 14.5-inch wheelbase. Like my shove-its felt a lot easier, my pop shove-its and stuff like that. 180s moving felt a little weird, but I don't know, flat ground felt better, but just any type of obstacle, I was just not having a lot of fun on. And the main part about skating is having fun. And I feel like, I don't know why I was getting in this mindset of wanting to like, first I went really small and then sized up really big and then rode the big board for so long. And I did get in this like mental headspace of, oh, let's see how small you can get back down to now. Because I guess a lot of skateboarders ride smaller boards. And I don't know, maybe I wanted to go with that wave, what was popular, and see if I could get down to a smaller board. But when I was in Texas after Christmas, I was still there for a little bit. I went to No Comply Skate Shop in Austin, super rad skate shop, probably like the biggest skate shop I've ever been to. I was looking around at the boards and I just came to an epiphany. I was like, it doesn't matter what other people are riding. Like you already like know about your size and what works for your height and your shoe size and what feels comfortable for your tricks and going on obstacles. I had also, at the time, it's funny how different things influence you. I had watched Brian Anderson's 9 club board setup. And I saw that Brian Anderson said he's like 6'4", size 13 shoe. So actually even a little bigger than I am, but very similar size to me. And Brian Anderson, this like amazing pro skateboarder, saying he loves this orange anti-hero popsicle. And I had just seen that video, and I see him tray flipping this big board, just doing all kinds of rad stuff on this, lots of flip tricks and stuff. And he's a big dude, and I'm like, all right, he's my size, he can do all these crazy tricks. Like, there's no reason why I can't go back to a board that actually feels very comfortable for my size as well. And this board's pretty big. I guess just to end that story, I watched that Brian Anderson video, and then I ended up going to No Comply Skate Shop in Austin, and they had one on the wall there. And I just kind of imposed, like, you know what, let's go for it. Now, I'm tired of like doing this like size down mental battle. I just want to ride something that's fun for me and just stick to something that I'm gonna actually stick to a size that I'm gonna like continuously progress on. I'm not doing a lot of flip tricks yet. I don't do any flip tricks yet, so all my stuff's 180, shove-its, obstacles, slappies, and that's what feels good with the 9-inch board for me. So this board's actually 33¼ inches long, 9 inches wide, and it does say, I'm not sure, I've seen some places say it's a 15-inch wheelbase, and I've seen other places say a 15.2-inch wheelbase. I'm not exactly sure. The wheelbase actually did feel a bit too big when I was on the Thunders. And there's a whole video on my channel about that, where I switched to the Independence on this board to bring the wheelbase in. And ever since I put Indies on this board, it's just felt fantastic. It just felt so good to ride ever since I put the Independence on this board. And just everything like kind of started to level up when I started riding this like consistently and stopped messing around so much. I've been riding this now for 2 months. And you know, after some adjusting, back to a bigger board, my ollies are even higher now than when it was on the 875. I have the best ollies I have now. I'm going up the biggest curbs I've gone up. I'm getting into bigger slappies. I'm getting into bigger nose stalls. Everything's been feeling great on this board, and I am just a big fan. And I've just come to like accept now. I guess the main like conclusion of this is that I don't need to follow the status quo of boards, because everybody's like has their own style, their own trick selection. Everybody is a different size. I'm a big guy. I should ride a big board, and that's okay. You should just like consider like all that when you're deciding what board to get. Don't just get a board based on what everybody's getting at the skate shop or what all your friends are riding at the skate park. Because like if you're a tall guy, you should consider a tall board. If you're a short guy, maybe consider a short board, or like whatever feels good for you, I think is the more important. Whatever feels the most comfortable for you is what you should ride in skateboarding. Because if you feel, the main thing is if you feel comfortable, you're gonna like actually try more tricks, try more obstacles and features. And I just feel like your confidence is gonna be up. And in my mind, like skateboarding is like 80% mental. So if I'm riding something uncomfortable and I have hesitation in my mind, I'm just not going to progress as much as if I'm riding a board that I actually feel really confident and good on. So that's kind of like where I'm at. That's why I switched back to this 9-inch board, and I've been loving it. I've really been putting in the work on this board. I just ordered another 9-inch board with a 15-inch wheelbase yesterday it's a PAL board, one of the PAL maple boards, just because it's a bit cheaper. It's a bit shorter too, but it's almost all the exact same dimensions as this. But you know, I'm just gonna stick with that 9-inch wide, 15-inch wheelbase selection, I think, going forward for a little bit, because I want to feel comfortable and confident on the board, man, and just have a fun time. And to me, that's what skating's about. So I guess that's all I have really to say today about my board progression so far since I started skating a 1.5 years ago. I hope this makes you think and reflect on your own choices. And kind of not get so in your head about following the status quo. And like I said, just like try out different sizes and shapes and just pick the one that feels the most fun and confident for you. I think that's really the main message of this video. So yeah, next week, you know, I'm going to have some more riding coming out, some more riding clips. I want to do some more riding videos. I got a lot of good ideas coming. Just unfortunately, like life's been really crazy the last like 3 weeks or so, but we're getting back on track, guys. And you know, we're growing the channel. You know, I'm talking to you guys on the comments and having a great time, you know, chatting, just seeing y'all support, and I really, really appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel If you enjoyed this video, go check out my other videos, like them, subscribe to me if you like this type of content, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day, and go out and, skate some fun boards, skate some fun shapes, try some new stuff. Yeah, that's it for this video. Have a good one.